Even the military won't land here. From the silent vantage point of space, our planet is a blue marble. The vast oceans dominate the view. They appear as a single, unbroken expanse of water. Continents are the great land masses. Islands are mere specks, scattered across the blue canvas. Many of these specks are destinations. They are places of vibrant life. They are places of culture. They are places of commerce. People travel to them. People live on them. People build futures there. Yet, some of these small dots are not invitations. They are warnings. Our perspective shifts to a digital world map. It is a familiar sight, showing the continents and seas we all recognize. But on this map, numerous small markers appear. They are scattered across the globe, from the Bay of Bengal to the coast of Brazil, from the remote Pacific to the frigid North Atlantic. Each marker represents an island with a story of seclusion. Each one is a point of non-entry. At a glance, the map reveals a global pattern. This is not the tale of one strange, isolated place. It is a phenomenon repeated across different nations, climates, and cultures. The need to prohibit access is a universal concern. Now, the map zooms. The many markers fade until only one remains, blinking steadily in the Andaman Sea. The map continues to push in, moving from a continental scale to a regional one. At these coordinates, access isn't restricted by distance, it's denied by policy. As our focus settles on the island in the Andaman Sea, an information card appears that presents the key facts in a clear, concise format. Island name: North Sentinel Island. Coordinates: 11.5550 degrees north, 92.2417 degrees east. Country: India. Subtitle: Access prohibited by law. The information is direct and verifiable. The subtitle, Access prohibited by law, is the central theme. This is not a suggestion or a recommendation. It is a legal command. The prohibition is absolute. Tourists, researchers, journalists, government officials. The law is the first and most visible barrier. The primary reason is protection of the island's indigenous inhabitants. The Sentinelese have lived in complete isolation for thousands of years. They have had virtually no contact with the modern world. They are one of the last remaining uncontacted peoples. They have no immunity to common diseases outsiders carry. A simple cold influenza measles could be devastating. An attempt at contact could inadvertently lead to an epidemic that could wipe them out. The law recognizes this vulnerability. The risk is not one-sided. The Sentinelese have consistently and violently rejected contact. They defend their territory with bows, arrows, spears. They do not distinguish between friendly or hostile approaches. To them, any outside vessel or person is a threat. Therefore, the law also protects outsiders from the very real physical danger they would face if they attempted to land. The Indian government's no-contact policy is a two-way shield. It protects the Sentinelese from us. It protects us from their defensive actions. This policy is supported by organizations like Survival International. The official stance: right to self-determination, including remaining isolated. The exclusion zone extends 5 nautical miles, 9.26 kilometers, and is patrolled. The exclusion zone around North Sentinel Island is more than just a line on a map. It is a physical and legal fortress. The Indian government, through the Andaman and Nicobar Administration Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Regulation, 1956, makes it a crime to enter this zone. The penalties for violating this law are severe. This legal framework is the first layer of defense. It sends a clear message to the world that this is a no-go area. The law is not a recent development. It has been in place for decades, evolving as our understanding of the risks has grown more sophisticated. The enforcement of this zone is a serious matter. The Indian Coast Guard actively patrols the waters around the island. Their mission is to intercept any vessel that strays too close. Curious tourists, fishermen, misguided adventurers. Their presence serves as a constant, visible deterrent. They do not wait for a landing attempt. The mere act of crossing into the prohibited radius is a violation. This proactive stance is crucial. It prevents situations from escalating and ensures that the boundary is respected at all times. The patrols are a tangible expression of the government's commitment to its no-contact policy. The natural geography of the island provides another layer of protection. North Sentinel Island is surrounded by a shallow, treacherous ring of coral reefs. There are no natural harbors or safe anchorages. For much of the year, the sea is rough, making any approach by boat extremely difficult and dangerous. These natural barriers have played a significant role in the island's historical isolation. They have thwarted mariners for centuries. Even for a modern vessel, navigating these waters requires immense skill and carries a high risk of running aground, as several shipwrecks in the area attest. Nature itself has conspired to keep the island separate. Ultimately, the shield around North Sentinel is built from three components. First, there is the law, a clear and strict prohibition backed by the authority of a sovereign nation. Second, there is active enforcement by maritime patrols, which turn the legal line into a physical reality. Third, there is the island's own natural defense system of reefs and rough seas. Together, these elements create a formidable barrier. It is a system designed not to imprison the Sentinelese, but to protect their freedom to live as they have for millennia, safe from the unforeseen consequences of the outside world. Distance is their guardian, and that guardian must be respected. Our global map now shifts its focus. The marker in the Andaman Sea fades, and a new one activates, this time off the coast of South America. We zoom in on the Atlantic Ocean, about 33 kilometers off the shore of São Paulo State, Brazil. A small, rocky island comes into view. Once again, an information card appears, presenting the core facts with objective clarity. Island name: Ilha da Queimada Grande. Coordinates: 24.4869 degrees south, 46.6758 degrees west. Country: Brazil. Subtitle: Biological Hazard Zone. This island is also known informally as Snake Island. The subtitle, Biological Hazard Zone, immediately signals a different kind of danger from North Sentinel. The threat here is not cultural or immunological, it is zoological. The prohibition on landing is not primarily to protect an isolated human population, but to protect any human who might foolishly attempt to set foot there. The Brazilian government strictly controls all access. The island is off-limits to the public. Only the Brazilian Navy and select vetted researchers with special permits are allowed to visit. The reason for this extreme measure is the island's unique and terrifyingly dense population of snakes. Ilha da Queimada Grande is home to the golden lancehead pit viper, Bothrops insularis, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. Critically, the snakes exist here in astounding numbers. Scientific estimates have varied, but some studies suggest a density of 1 to 5 snakes per square meter in certain areas. The island became isolated from the mainland thousands of years ago as sea levels rose, trapping the snake population. With no ground-level predators, they thrived. The venom of the golden lancehead is potent and fast-acting. It is a hemotoxin that can cause kidney failure, necrosis of muscle tissue, and brain hemorrhage. It is several times more powerful than that of its mainland relatives. This is believed to be an evolutionary adaptation. The snake's primary prey are migratory birds that visit the island. A fast-acting venom ensures that the birds do not fly away after being bitten, allowing the snakes to locate and consume their meal. For a human, a bite would be a catastrophic medical emergency, with a very high mortality rate even if antivenom were administered quickly. Given the island's remote location, immediate medical help is impossible. The ban on visitors serves a dual purpose. The most obvious is to prevent human fatalities. The sheer number of highly venomous snakes makes any journey across the island a life-threatening endeavor. The risk of a fatal bite is exceptionally high. The second purpose is conservation. The golden lancehead is a critically endangered species. It exists nowhere else on Earth. The island is its only sanctuary. Prohibiting access protects the snakes from poaching and habitat disruption. The Brazilian government has designated the island as a relevant ecological interest area, a form of natural preserve to protect this unique and dangerous ecosystem. Ilha da Queimada Grande is a fortress built by nature. Its defenses are not man-made laws, but the products of evolution. They are the island's defining characteristic. The unique properties of the golden lancehead's venom have attracted the interest of medical and pharmaceutical researchers. Compounds within snake venoms have been used to develop life-saving drugs, particularly for treating high blood pressure and for treating blood clots. The venom of the golden lancehead could hold keys to new medical breakthroughs. Therefore, preserving the species in its natural habitat is of paramount importance. The ban on public access helps ensure that this unique genetic library is not destroyed by illegal poaching or accidental habitat damage. The Citadel protects the snakes, and we protect the Citadel. In an age of unprecedented technological advancement, a natural question arises. Why do these prohibitions remain so absolute? Drones can survey land from above. Advanced medical knowledge exists. Vaccines, antivenoms, submersibles, non-invasive research tools. Surely technology could enable safe visits or close study without the old risks. It's a logical question, but it overlooks the fundamental nature of the dangers. The answers reveal the limits of our technological power. First, biological risk, places like North Sentinel Island. The primary danger is transmission of pathogens to a non-immunized population. A drone doesn't cough or sneeze, but it is not sterile. Microbes can hitch a ride on landing gear or camera housings. Even tiny contamination carries potentially genocidal consequences. The goal is not merely to observe. The temptation to interact would always be present. Even if we developed perfect vaccines for the Sentinelese, administering them to a hostile, uncontacted group is ethically and practically insurmountable. Technology cannot solve the core ethical problem of imposing presence on those who reject it. Second, biological hazard zones like Ilha da Queimada Grande. A drone gives an aerial view. It cannot do the detailed ground-level studies science requires. A person must set foot to collect biological samples. Study snake behavior up close. Assess the vegetation. Protective clothing reduces but does not eliminate risk. A determined snake can find a gap. Accidents can still happen. Technology cannot render a million venomous snakes harmless. It only offers a small, imperfect buffer against a pervasive, deadly threat. Third, many islands are protected for ecological reasons. Fragile ecosystems, rare plants, insects, birds. The most obvious risks, like a hostile reception or a venomous snake bite, are easy to understand. But prohibitions on access are often based on dangers far more subtle and insidious. These are the unseen risks, second-order consequences, third-order consequences. These risks are biological, ecological, cultural. Laws of exclusion prevent invisible invasions as much as visible ones. The biological risk is perhaps the most profound. We all carry a universe of microorganisms on and within our bodies. Our immune systems are adapted to constant exposure. An isolated population like the Sentinelese has a completely different immunological history. They may lack antibodies for diseases we consider trivial. A mild flu in a visitor could spark a firestorm of death. This is not theoretical. Smallpox decimated Native American populations. Disease devastated Andamanese tribes that did enter contact. The air we breathe out is a potential weapon. The ecological risk is equally pervasive. Every time someone moves between environments, they become a vector for invasive species. Single seed and boot tread, tiny insect egg on equipment, fungal spore on clothing. In closed island ecosystems, a newcomer can be catastrophic. A new plant can outcompete native flora. A new rat can decimate ground-nesting birds. These small introductions can unravel an entire food web. Finally, the cultural risk. For uncontacted peoples, contact is an existential shock. New concepts, new technologies, new values can shatter social structure, disrupt belief systems, erase ways of life. As we pull back to the world map, the individual markers for North Sentinel Island, Ilha da Queimada Grande, the pattern becomes clear once more. These are not isolated curiosities. They are part of a global strategy of preservation and risk management. Many nations have designated certain islands as off-limits for scientific reasons, for safety reasons. Each prohibition tells a similar story of vulnerability and the need for a protective buffer. This global network of quiet zones is a testament to a growing awareness of our impact on the planet. Consider Gruinard Island in Scotland. For decades, it was a no-go zone because of science gone wrong. During World War II, it was used as a testing site for biological weapons, specifically anthrax. The island became so contaminated with hardy anthrax spores, it was deemed one of the most dangerous places on Earth and quarantined for nearly 50 years. Only after an extensive and costly decontamination in the late 1980s was the island declared safe. In the mid-Pacific, atolls and islands were used for nuclear testing during the Cold War. Places like Bikini Atoll remain dangerously radioactive. The soil, the water, are contaminated with long-lasting isotopes like cesium-137. While they may look like tropical paradises, they harbor an invisible and persistent poison. Returning is not an option. The risk of cancer and other radiation-related illnesses is simply too high. Other islands are protected as pristine scientific benchmarks. Surtsey Island, off Iceland, is a prime example. Formed by volcanic eruption in the 1960s. Since birth, it's a protected laboratory for studying colonization of life. Only a handful of scientists are permitted to visit, and they undergo rigorous procedures to avoid introducing outside organisms. Our journey is now complete. The camera lens pulls back slowly, moving away from the specific markers on the map. The continents shrink, the coastlines soften and blur. The mountain ranges soften and blur. The map itself dissolves. We are left with the simple, powerful image of the Earth from space. The blue of the oceans reasserts its dominance. The islands we visited have receded. They become indistinguishable specks, lost in the vast, quiet expanse of sea. This final retreat to a global perspective is not an act of dismissal. It is an act of respect. It returns these places to the context in which they must exist. Separate, protected, distant. The quiet hum of the spacecraft gives way to wind and surf. There is no concluding narration that spells out a grand moral. The images and the facts have spoken for themselves. The silence that follows is filled with the understanding we have gained. The space between us and them is not empty. It is filled with purpose. The ocean is the ultimate boundary. Its waters wash the shores of every continent. It also serves as a great moat around these isolated citadels of life and legacy. This watery shield has protected them for millennia. It is now reinforced by human law. It is reinforced by scientific reason. Some places aren't unvisited. They're intentionally left alone.